confusion that one useless man is called a disgrace, that two are called a law firm, and that three or more become a Congress. And by God, I have had this Congress. For 10 years, King George and his parliament have gulled, cullied, and diddled these colonies with their illegal taxes. Stamp Acts, Townsend Acts, Sugar Acts, Tea Acts. And when we dared stand up and fight, they stopped our trade, seized our ships, blockaded our ports, and spilled our blood. And still, this Congress refuses to grant any of my proposals on independence, even so much as the courtesy of open debate. Good God, what in hell are they waiting for? Sit down, John, sit down, John, for God's sake, John, sit down. Sit down, John, sit down, John, for God's sake, John, sit down. Why don't you open up a window? It's 90 degrees, and the rain's on me. It's hot as hell in Philadelphia. Why don't you open up a window? I say vote yes, vote for independency. Open up the window. I say vote yes, sit down, John. Vote for independency. But when I open up a window, too many lies. But it's hot as hell in Philadelphia. And we compromise here. Vote yes. No too many lies here. Vote yes. Oh, for God's sake, John, sit down. Good God, consider yourselves fortunate that you have John Evans to abuse, for no sane man would tolerate it. John, you're a bore. We've heard this before. Now, for God's sake, John, sit down. I say vote yes. No. Vote yes. No. Vote for independency. Open up a window. I say vote yes. Sit down, John. Vote for independency. Someone shut that man up. Never. Never. Good God, for one solid year they have been sitting here. For 1 year doing nothing. I do believe you laid a curse on North America. A curse that we hear now rehearsing. Philadelphia. A second flood, a simple famine, plagues of locusts everywhere, or a cataclysmic earthquake, I'd accept with some despair. But no, you sent us Congress. Good God, sir, was that fair? I say this with humility, Philadelphia, where your responsibility, Philadelphia. If you don't want to see us hanging on some far-off British hill, if you don't want the voice of independency forever still, then God, sir, get thee to it, for Congress never will. You see, we piddle, twiddle, and resolve, not one damn thing do we solve. Piddle, twiddle, and resolve. Nothing's ever solved in foul, feet, feuding, fought, filthy Philadelphia. Oh, shut up.
I now call the Congress's attention to the petition of Mr. Aloysius Scudder, who claims $20 compensation for his dead mule. It seems the animal was employed transporting luggage in the service of the Congress.
The question then appears to be one of occasion, for if the mule expired not while carrying, but after being unloaded, then surely the beast dropped dead on its own time. Good God!
They may sit here for years and years in Philadelphia. These indecisive grenadiers of Philadelphia. They can't agree on what is right or wrong, or what is good or bad. I'm convinced the only purpose this Congress ever had was to gather here specifically to drive John Adams mad. You see, we piddle, twiddle, and resolve. Not a damn thing do we solve. Piddle, twiddle, and resolve. Nothing's ever solved in foul, beating, fuming, bawdy, filthy Philadelphia.
John, John, is that you carrying on? John!
Oh, Abigail. Abigail, I have such a desire to knock heads together.
I know, my dearest, I know, but that's because you make everything so complicated. It's all quite simple, really. Just tell the Congress to declare independency. Then sign your name, get out of there, and hurry home to me. Our children all have dysentery. Little Tom keeps turning blue. Little Abby has the measles, and I'm coming down with flu. They say we may get smallpox.
Madam, what else is new? Abigail, in my last letter, I wrote you that the king has collected 12,000 German mercenaries to send against us. I asked you to organize the ladies in making saltpeter for gunpowder. Have you done as I asked?
No, John, I have not.
Why have you not?
Because you neglected to tell us how saltpeter is made.
By treating potassium nitrate with sodium chloride, of course.
Oh, yes, of course.
Will it be done then?
I'm afraid we have a much more urgent problem, John.
More urgent, madam?
There's one thing every woman's missed in Massachusetts Bay. Don't smirk at me, you egotist, pay heed to what I say. We've gone from Framingham to Boston, and we cannot find a pin. Don't you know there's a war on, says each tradesman with a grin. Well, we will not make saltpeter until you send us pins.
Pins, madam. Saltpeter.
Pins.
Saltpeter.
Pins.
Saltpeter.
Pins.
Saltpeter.
Pins.
Peter.
Pins.
Peter.
Pins.
Peter.
Pins.
Peter.
Pins.
Done, madam. Done.
Done, John. Hurry home, John.
As soon as I'm able.
Don't stop writing. It's all I have.
Every day, my dearest friend.
Till then,
I am as I ever was and ever shall be. Yours, 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 yours. Saltpeter, John.
Pins. Abigail.
For God's sake, John, sit down. Franklin! Franklin, where the hell have you been?
Right here, John, being preserved for posterity. Do you like it?
It stinks.
As ever, the soul of tact.
Well, the man is no Botticelli.
And the subject is no Venus.
Franklin, you heard what I suffered in there.
Heard? Of course I heard, along with the rest of Philadelphia. Lord, your voice is piercing, John.
I wish to heaven my arguments were. By God, Franklin, when will they make up their minds? With one hand they can dispatch an army, choose one of their own to lead it, and cheer the news from Bunker's Hill. While with the other they wave the olive branch, begging the king for a happy and permanent reconciliation. Why, Fat George has declared us in rebellion. Why in bloody hell can't they?
You talk as if independence were the rule. It's never been done before. No colony has ever broken away from their parent stem in the history of the world.
Damn it, Franklin, you make us sound treasonous.
Do I? Treason. Treason is a charge invented by the winners as an excuse for hanging the losers.
I have more to do than to stand here listening to you quote yourself.
That was a new one.
Damn it, Franklin, we're at war.
To defend ourselves and nothing more. We expressed our displeasure. The English moved against us. In turn, we resisted. Now our fellow congressmen wish to effect a reconciliation before it becomes a war.
Reconciliation, my ass. The people want independence.
No, the people have read Mr. Paine's Common Sense. I doubt that Congress has. John, why don't you give it up? Nobody listens to you. You're obnoxious and disliked.
I am not promoting John Adams. I am promoting independence.
Evidently, they cannot help connecting the two.
What are you suggesting?
Let someone else in Congress propose.
Never. Why? What did you have in mind?
Oh, nothing. I really haven't given it much thought.
Send for me, Benjamin?
Never.
Hello, Johnny.
Richard.
Richard, John and I need some advice.
Well, if it's mine to give, it's yours. You know that, Benjamin.
Well, thank you, Richard. As you know, the cause that we support has come to a complete standstill. Well, why do you suppose that is?
Simple. Johnny here is obnoxious and disliked.
Yes. What's the solution, I wonder?
Get someone else in Congress to propose.
Richard, that's brilliant. Wasn't that brilliant, John?
Brilliant.
Now the question remains, who can it be? The man we need must belong to a delegation that publicly is committed to supporting independence. And at the current time, only only Massachusetts, New Hampshire, and Delaware have declared our way.
And Virginia, Benji. Don't forget Virginia.
How could I? But strictly speaking, though Virginia's views on independence are well known, your legislature in Williamsburg has never formally authorized its delegation here in Congress to support independence. But if we could think of Virginia with enough influence to go down there and persuade the House of Burgesses.
Damn me if I haven't thought of someone.
Who?
Me!
No, why didn't I think of that?
I'll leave tonight. Why, hell, I'll leave right now if you want. I'll stop off at Stratford just long enough to refresh the missus, and then straight to the matter. Virginia, the land that gave us our glorious Commander-in-Chief, George Washington, will now give this continent its proposal on independence. And when Virginia proposes, the South is bound to follow. And where the South goes, the middle colonies go. Gentlemen, a salute to Virginia, the mother of American independence.
Incredible. We're free and he hasn't even left yet. What makes you so sure you can do it?
Ha! My name is Richard Henry Lee, Virginia is my home. My name is Richard Henry Lee, Virginia is my home. And may my horses turn blue if I can't deliver to you a resolution on independency. For I am FMD, the first family in the sovereign colony of Virginia. Yes, the FMD, the oldest family in the oldest colony in America. And may the British burn my land if I can't deliver to your hands a resolution on independency. You see, it's here to lead, there to the end, everywhere legally, socially, politically, financially, naturally, internally, externally, internally, internally, the FMD, the first family in the sovereign colony of Virginia. And may my wife refuse the bed if I can't deliver, as I said, a resolution on independency.
Spoken modestly, God help us.
Oh, he will, Jacques. He will. They say that God in heaven is everybody's God.
Amen.
I'll admit that God in heaven is everybody's God. But I tell you, John, with pride, God leans a little on the side of the lees of old Virginia. on independency. Yes, sir, my God, it's herely, verily. Come on, boys, join in with me. Herely, verily. When do you leave? Immediately. Herely, verily. When do you return? Shortly. Herely, verily. Now come back, sir, endlessly. Herely, verily. And verily, endlessly. Forward! Oh!
That was the most revolting display I have ever witnessed.
They're a warm-blooded people, Virginians.
Not him, Franklin. You and your infernal obsession for deviousness. If you'd have asked him straight out, he'd been gone half an hour ago.
Well, cheer up, John. Once again, our cause is riding high, sitting straight in the saddle and riding full gallop to Virginia. And our women are serene.
Oh, God.
Full-bosomed, Benji. Everyone a queen. Why, they're leaves, damn it. Leaves for Virginia. Yes, sir, my God, it's herely, verily. Come on, guys, let's fly with me. Herely, verily, yeah. Everywhere, utterly, utterly. Forward! Oh! Forward! Oh!
Yes,
I'm Dr. Lyman Hall, new delegate from Georgia.
and I'm Andrew McNair, Congressional Custodian. If you be wanting anything, just holler out, McNair, like you hear the rest do. It won't be too long away.
Where does the Georgia delegation belong?
They mill about back in that corner someplace near the 2 Carolinas.
It's after 10 o'clock. I was told Congressman Bean to attend.
They'll be wandering in any minute now, sir, with those grape and guts leading the pack.
Old who?
McNair! Grape and guts.
Fetch me a macaron.
Mr. Hopkins, you'll be pleased to meet Dr. Lyman Hall.
I don't need a doctor, damn it. That new delegate from Georgia. Well, why didn't you say so? I'm Stephen Hopkins, home delegate from Rhode Island. McNair, 2 months around.
I fear it's a little early in the day.
Nonsense. It's a medicinal fact. Rum gets a man's heart started in the morning. I'm surprised you didn't know it. And speaking as the oldest man...
Benjamin Franklin's older by almost a year.
Rum! Tell me, Dr. Hall, where does Georgia stand on the question of independence?
With South Carolina, home.
Good morning, then. Shake hands with Dr. Lyman Hall from Georgia. Doctor, this here's Edward Rutledge from whichever Carolina he says he's from. God knows I can't keep him straight.
A pleasure, Dr. Hall.
Your servant, Mr. Rutledge.
Well, he isn't up to long in Georgia now, Dr. Hall, and Eddie here's only 26. He's the youngest of us.
Except for Ben Franklin.
McNair! Yo, Rum! Well, where'd you go for it then, Jamaica?
Dr. Hall, where does Georgia stand on independence at the present time?
I'm here without instructions. Here before my own personal convictions.
And they are?
Personal.
Dr. Hall, the Deep South speaks with one voice. It is traditional, sir. Even more so, it is historical. Enter Delaware. Tria juncta in uno.
Speak plainly, Your Rutledge. You know I can't follow none of your damn French.
Latin, Colonel McKeon. A tribute to the eternal peace and harmony of the Delaware delegation.
What are you saying, man? You know perfectly well neither Rodney nor I can stand this little wart.
Gentlemen, gentlemen, this is Dr. Lyman Hall of Georgia, Mr. Caesar Rodney, Colonel Thomas McKeon.
And Mr. George Reed, where do you stand on independency, sir? With South Carolina, it seems. I need the doctor in your excellent company, gentlemen. Tell me, sir, would you be a doctor of medicine or theology? Both, Mr. Rodney. Which one can be of service? By all means, physician first. Then we shall see about the other. Call it your convenience, sir.
I trust, Caesar, when you're through converting the poor fellow independents, that you'll give the opposition a fair crack at it.
You're too late, John. Once I get them, they're got. Dr. Lyman Hall of Georgia, Mr. John Dickinson of Pennsylvania.
An honor, sir.
Your servant, sir. George Wilson, forgive me, but how can anyone see you if you insist on standing in Mr. Dickinson's shadow? James Wilson, also of Pennsylvania.
Sir.
An honor, sir.
Would you get out of my way, please? Morning, all.
Morning, Benji.
Good Lord.
Do you have the honor to be Dr. Frank?
I have that honor. Unfortunately, the golf company's the honor.
Been living or lying, eh, Pappy?
Oh, Stephen, I wish that King George felt like my big toe. All over.
McNair, fetch a pillow. And 2 more mugs around.
Well, Franklin, where is that idiot Lee? Has he returned yet? I don't see him.
Softly, John. Your voice is hurting my foot.
One more day. That's how long I'll remain silent and not a moment longer. That strutting potentate was so damn sure of himself. He's had time to bring back a dozen proposals by now. Tell me, James, how do you explain the strange and monumental quietude that Congress has been treated to these past 30 days? Has the ill wind of independence finally blown itself out?
Well, I think that...
For myself, I must confess that a month free from New England noise is more therapeutic than a month in the country. Don't you agree, James?
Well, if you ask me...
Pray, Mr. Abbott, look for your voice, sir. It cannot be far. And God knows we need the entertainment in this Congress.
Congratulations, John. You've made the greatest contribution to independence. You kept your flap shut.
One more day.
Gentlemen, I now call the Congress to order. Mr. Secretary.
The Second Continental Congress, meeting in the city of Philadelphia, is now in session. 7 June 1776, the 380th meeting.
Sweet Jesus.
The Honorable John Hancock of Massachusetts Bay, President.
Thank you, Mr. Thompson. Mr. McNair, the stores of rum and other drinking spirits are hereby closed to the colony of Rhode Island for a period of 3 days.
Yes! You can't do that.
Sit down, Mr. Hopkins. You've abused the privilege. The chair would now like to take this opportunity to welcome Dr. Lyman Hall of Georgia to the Congress and hopes he makes the best of it. My God, it's hot. Mr. Thompson, please read the roll.
All members present with the following exceptions. Mr. Charles Carroll of Maryland, Mr. Samuel Adams of Massachusetts, Mr. Button Gwinnett of Georgia, Mr. George Witt and Mr. Richard Henry Lee of Virginia, and the entire delegation of New Jersey.
I'm concerned about the continued absence of 1/13 of this Congress. Where is New Jersey?
Somewhere between New York and Pennsylvania.
Thank you very much. Dr. Franklin, have you heard anything? Your son resides there.
Son, sir? What son?
The Royal Governor of New Jersey, sir?
Oh, as that title might suggest, we are not in touch at the present time.
Oh, yes, very well. May we hear about the weather? Mr. Jefferson from Virginia. Mr. Jefferson.
Present, sir.
May we hear about the weather as if it's not speaking for itself?
87 degrees of temperature, 30.6 inches of mercury. Wind out of the southwest for the rest of the day, and tonight I'm leaving for home.
On business?
Family business.
Give her a good one for me, young feller.
Yes, sir, I will.
From the Commander, Army of the United Colonies in New York, dispatch number 1137.
Oh, sweet Jesus.
To the Honorable Congress, John Hancock, President, dear sir, it is with grave apprehension that I have learned this day of the sailing from Halifax, Nova Scotia, of a considerable force of British troops in the company of foreign mercenaries and under the command of General Sir William Howe. There can be no doubt that their destination is New York, for to take and hold this city and the Hudson Valley beyond would serve to separate New England from the other colonies, permitting both sections to be crushed in turn. Sadly, I see no way of stopping them at the present time, as my army is absolutely falling apart. My military chest is totally exhausted, my commissary general has strained his credit to the last, my quartermaster has no food, no arms, no ammunition, and my troops are in a state of near mutiny. I pray God some relief will arrive before the Armada, but fear it will not. Your obedient, G. Washington.
Mr. President,
Colonel McKeon.
surely we have managed to promote the gloomiest man on this continent to the head of our troops. Those dispatches are the most depressing accumulation of disaster, of doom, and despair.
Please, Colonel McKeon.
What?
It's too hot.
I suppose so.
General Washington will continue wording his dispatches as he sees fit. And I'm sure we all pray that he finds happier news to convey in the near future. Mr. Thompson, are there any resolutions?
Dr. Josiah Bartlett of New Hampshire.
Resolved that during the present hostilities, the Congress discourage every type of extravagance and dissipation, elaborate funerals, and other expenses, especially horse racing.
Stacey, I'm back! I'm back, Johnny. Richard, we're pleased to see you.
What's news, Dickie boy? What's news?
Lee, is it done?
First things first. Tom, your little bride wants to know
What?
when's he coming home?
Never mind that. Is it done?
Done? Why, certainly. Mr. President, I have returned from Virginia with the following resolution. Resolved that these United Colonies are, and of a right ought to be, free and independent states, that they be absolved from all allegiance to the British Crown, and that all political connection between them and the state of Great Britain is, and ought to be, totally dissolved.
Mr. President, I second the resolution.
Resolution has been moved and seconded.
Mr. President.
Chair will now entertain debate.
Pennsylvania moves, as always, that the question of independence be postponed indefinitely.
I second the motion. Judge Wilson, in your eagerness to be loved, you seem to have forgotten. Pennsylvania cannot second its own motion. Delaware seconds.
You would, you little weasel.
It has been moved and seconded. Mr. Thompson.
On the motion to postpone indefinitely the resolution on independency or proceed with the debate, all those for debate say yea. All those for postponement say nay. New Hampshire.
New Hampshire favors debate and says yea.
New Hampshire says yea. Massachusetts.
Massachusetts, having borne the brunt of the kingdom. Yes, I said tyranny. Massachusetts now and for all time says yea.
Massachusetts says yea. Rhode Island. Mr. Hopkins. Where's Rhode Island?
Rhode Island is opposite and necessary.
After what Rhode Island's consumed, I can't say I'm surprised. We'll get back to him, Mr. Thompson.
Rhode Island passes. Connecticut.
While Connecticut has till now been against this proposal, our legislature has instructed me that in the event it is introduced by any county outside of New England, Connecticut could not withhold its support any longer. Connecticut votes yay.
Connecticut says yay. New York.
New York abstains. Courteously.
New York abstains.
Courteously.
New Jersey.
Absent, Mr. Secretary.
Oh yes, New Jersey is absent. Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania for the 24th time says nay.
Pennsylvania says nay. Delaware.
Delaware, as ever for independence, says yay.
Delaware says yay. Maryland.
Maryland would welcome independence if it were given, but is highly skeptical that it can be taken. Maryland says nay.
Maryland says nay. Virginia.
Virginia, the first colony, says yay!
Virginia says yay. North Carolina.
North Carolina respectfully yields to South Carolina.
South Carolina.
Mr. President, while we in South Carolina have never seriously considered the question of independence, when a gentleman proposes it, attention must be paid. However, we in the Deep South, unlike our friends in New England, have no cause for impatience at the present time. If at some future date it becomes the wish of all our sister colonies to effect a separation, we will not stand in the way. But for the time being, South Carolina will wait and watch. The vote is nay.
South Carolina says nay.
North Carolina
Says nay. Mr. Hughes, I know. Georgia. Georgia.
Mr. Secretary, Georgia seems to be split right down the middle on the issue. The people are against it, and I'm for it. Mr. Secretary, I'm not yet certain whether representing the people means relying on their judgment or on my own. So in all fairness, until I can figure things out, I better lean a little towards their side. Georgia says nay. You're here.
Georgia says nay. Rhode Island. Second call, Rhode Island.
I'm coming. Hold your damn horses.
We're waiting on you, Mr. Hopkins.
Well, it won't kill you. You'd think Congress would have its own pisser. So where's she standing?
5 for debate, 5 for postponement, 1 abstention, and 1 absence.
So it's up to me, is it? Well, I'll tell you. In all my years, I never heard, nor seen, nor smelled an issue that was so dangerous you couldn't talk about it. Hell yes, I'm for debating anything. Rhode Island says here.
McNair, give Mr. Hopkins a roll.
You just said that.
Get him the whole damn barrel if he wants. The chair now declares this Congress a committee of the whole with the purpose of debating Virginia's resolution on independence. Mr. Dickinson.
Well now, you've got your way at last, Mr. Adams. The matter may now be discussed. I confess I'm almost relieved. There's a question I've been fairly itching to ask you. Why?
Why what, Mr. Dickinson?
Why independence, Mr. Adams?
For the simple reason that our association with Great Britain has grown intolerable.
To whom? To you. Well, then I suggest you sever your ties immediately, sir. But please, be kind enough to leave the rest of us where we are. For myself, I have no objections to being part of the greatest empire on earth, to enjoying its protection and sharing its benefits.
Benefits? What benefits? Crippling taxes, cruel repressions, abolished rights?
Is that all England means to you, sir? Is that all the pride and affection you can muster for the nation that bore you? For the noblest, most civilized nation on the face of this planet? Would you have us forsake Hastings and Magna Carta, Strongbow and Lionheart, Drake and Marlborough, Stuarts, Tudors and Plantagenets? For what, sir? Tell me for what? For you. Some men are patriots like General Washington. And some are anarchists like Mr. Payne. Some are even internationalists like Dr. Franklin. But you, sir, you are merely an agitator, disturbing the peace, creating disorder, endangering the public welfare, and for what? Your petty little personal complaints, your taxes are too high. Well, sir, so are mine. Come, Mr. Adams. If you have grievances, and I'm sure you do, our present system must provide a gentler means of redressing them, short of revolution. Yes, that's what he wants. Nothing less will satisfy him. Violence, rebellion, treason! Now I ask you, sir, are these the acts of Englishmen? Not Englishmen, Dickinson! American, no, sir. Englishmen.
Oh, Mr. Dickinson, but must you start banging? How's a man to sleep?
Forgive me, Dr. Franklin, but must you start speaking? How is a man to stay awake? We'll promise to be quiet, sir. I'm sure we all prefer that you remain asleep.
If I'm to hear myself be called an Englishman, then I assure you I'd rather I'd remained asleep.
What's so terrible about being called an Englishman? The English don't seem to mind.
Nor would I if I were granted the full rights of an Englishman. But to call me one without those rights is like calling an ox a bull. He's grateful for the honor, but he'd much rather have restored what's rightfully his.
When did you first notice they were missing? Fortunately, Dr. Franklin, the people of these colonies maintain a higher regard for their mother country.
Higher certainly than she feels for them. Never have I seen such a valuable possession so recklessly and stupidly managed in this entire continent by the British Crown. Our industries discouraged, our resources pillaged, and worse yet, our very character stifled. We've spawned a new race here. Rougher, simpler, more violent, more enterprising, and